In 1814, Dr. James Miranda Barry graduated from Edinburgh Medical School. Dr. Barry then served in the British military as a surgeon for 45 years. Now, this may not sound like an unusual story until you find out that Dr. Barry was a woman. During her entire medical career, she pretended to be a man. A husband and wife team have written about this extraordinary woman in their novel, The Secret Life of Dr. James Miranda Barry. Open Book correspondent Tony Tiano asked Anne and Ivan Kronenfeld who Dr. James Miranda Barry really was.
Well, she was a young girl who has unknown origins, really. So that was part of what we did. We created her origins, and the French Revolution was in the time of her life. So we created her as an orphan of the Revolution, of which there were many, many. At some point in her life, she became connected to Francisco de Miranda, and he took her to England. In our story, he took her to England, where she grew up with him and his mistress and a teacher, James Barry, who was an artist in the Academy in London. And that's how she came to have the name James Miranda Barry. And she was very bright, or more than bright, I guess, and became fascinated with medicine and decided she wanted to be a doctor. But of course, at that time, you couldn't be a woman and be a doctor. So she said, I'll be a man, and went to Edinburgh Medical School, graduated, joined the British military, and spent 45 years of her life in the British military.
And was never...
She was discovered actually a number of times, and never was able to keep it a secret because the people would not reveal her. At the end of her life, she was found in her rooms by a charwoman, and the charwoman said, Dr. Barry is a woman, and in fact has had a child. She was able to tell that she had had a child.
Sophie Bishop was the charwoman, and she came, Dr. Barry, the funny kind of thing in life, you could say she was killed by Florence Nightingale, because she was up for the position of general of all British military hospitals. And Florence Nightingale had bitterly criticized the British medical establishment. And Barry dressed her down on in front of other people. And she wrote in her diary, James Barry is the cruelest man I have ever met, and stood against Barry's appointment. And Barry was sent to be Inspector Generals of hospitals in Canada and had been in tropical places for the last 40 years, couldn't take the cold, and her health was destroyed, and then soon thereafter died in England.
So did you have a hard time writing the book?
We wrote it together, which created, many conversations about divorce.
Many.
Many divorces.
Daily divorce.
It was a struggle, and we really had major. In fact, we wrote the first 100 pages, agonizing, inventing the engine and fighting and scrapping through the whole thing. We finally wrote it. We sat down, read it out loud, hated it. Oh, really? Hated it, and said, it's terrible, tore it up, started over.
Yeah, we did. We read it.
So we were pretty good that way, but yeah. There are a lot of scars.
We would have these fights, and she would get, and I would be screaming, and Anne would get like this ballerina, very cold, very aloof, very removed. Are you finished now? Oh, no!
I'm only starting.
I'm only starting.
He's only halfway there.
You guys have been actors in the past. Do you consider yourself writers today?
I guess yes and no.
Yeah.
It's a hard question.
It is a hard question. I think that we define ourselves as people in the arts. That, we wake up at 3:30 in the morning and say, God, where's our 401k plan? And, we don't have all these, and we had this depressing conversation about long-term health care,
We're trying to be grown-ups.
And we've, been in this for most of our lives. Anne danced at Radio City when she was 15 years old. It's our life, and I think that's where we respond to the character in the book. We all have an inner voice, and we're all afraid of listening to it. And, I guess we're people who do, and we gravitate to stories about people. There was a kid, Dempsey. He was born with a half of a foot and a seal arm, and for many, many years he held the record for the longest field goal kicked in the NFL. And I always think of that, meeting that young man and saying, son, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I'm going to be a football player. And how everybody must have explained logically to him how he can't do that. We don't know what we can't do. And I think her life speaks to that. She's one of those people who said, yeah, I understand. There are no women doctors in the world, and I'm 5'2", but that's what I'm going to do. And she found a way.
Barry died in 1865, the year the first woman officially graduated from an English medical school. Ivan and Ann Kronenfeld's new book, The Secret Life of Dr. James Miranda Barry, is self-published by ebooks on the net. And that's Open Book for this morning. We hope you enjoyed our selection of books. If you have comments or any questions, please call us toll-free at 877-410-BOOK or visit our website at myopenbook.com. For all of us at Open Book, I'm Perry Peltz. Thank you so much for being with us. Open Book for this morning. We hope you enjoyed our selection of books. If you have comments or any questions, please call us toll-free at 877-410-BOOK or visit our website at myopenbook.com. For all of us at Open Book, I'm Perry Peltz. Thank you so much for being with us.